Hey, I'm MellyS The Story Collector, and this is the Courage 1000 Project, the show where we share personal stories of inner courage from all around the world to inspire you to find your own. In today's episode, we're talking with the gorgeous Celeste Lord. She's sharing with us how a car accident actually caused a physical breakdown of adrenal fatigue when she had a 2 and a 4-year-old at home to contend with. She shares about how she had to leave a full-time job and fully start her healing journey. And in doing so, she hopes to inspire you to understand that self-love is the key to success. Now, Celeste is very passionate about making a difference to people's well-being, which is what she does through her holistic wellness coaching. She loves inspiring, guiding, and providing women with a safe environment for transformation. So using her counseling skills and business background, she gets to lead women down a whole new path and utilize the knowledge and skills they have gained over their careers in order to better their life and find so much more inner peace. And now, on with the show. First question I always ask is, why do you want to share this particular story with everybody?
Okay, so I want to share this particular story with everybody, women in particular,
Yeah.
especially mums, because being a entrepreneur mother can be quite challenging.
Oh, yes.
But, but I truly believe that as mothers, we're capable of anything, and women, we're capable of anything. And I wanted to share this story of courage because it was quite a painful one, and it's been quite a painful journey, learning to re-love again, like love myself again, unconditionally. And I guess I want to teach women the tools and resources to do that and to fully surrender to their true self. So that's why I wanted to share this story.
That's beautiful. So where did this all begin for you then?
Okay, so 3 years ago, I had a car accident, and I guess the universe whacked me pretty hard with slowing down. And being a businesswoman and a mother and having a 2-year-old and a 2-year-old and 4-year-old, it sort of all snowballed from there. So I ended up having a massive breakdown.
I could imagine.
Yeah. And so the car accident sort of was the icing on the cake of enough's enough. So then I began to heal from the inside out.
Yeah.
And just make myself more aware of what I was actually putting myself through.
Yeah.
And the pressure that I was putting myself through and all the expectations that I had of myself when I didn't need to have them. But I guess being a mother, you want to be the best and you want to have, show your kids the right way and all that. So it was a massive learning curve that slowing down actually is better than being on a wheel and being 100,000 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And that's what I teach women about, is you don't have to be a superwoman. And I think none of us are.
Exactly. And I think society is set up to support those who work at 1,000,000 miles an hour. Yeah. It doesn't support us as mums and as entrepreneurs, as women who need to go slowly for our own mental health, our own physical health. Mm-hmm. And it's not that we have that major crisis that we go, oh, this isn't working for me anymore.
And I had all these triggers and all these signs before the accident of, I'm exhausted, I need to slow down, I need to stop. And this, that masculine energy of, no, you got to keep going, you got to keep working, you got to just keep going, pick yourself up. But what that did was put me in overdrive and end up with adrenal fatigue. So my message is that being a better person and a better mother and a better woman is actually slowing down and being present and showing your kids that if you can love yourself unconditionally, you can love anybody. And to really embrace motherhood rather than you know, just getting through the day, which is what most of us do. We're just surviving just to get through the day, just ticking all these boxes of what we need to do, but we're not actually embracing it all as one.
I like that. Yeah. So you
So
were
that's
saying
what,
before that there was a lot of pressure on you.
yeah, like work pressure of, um, like I was in a high profile management job. So being in the corporate world, it was, you know, the demand of I had to have this report done. I had to be at this meeting. I had to go drive to this place, to that place, then come back. Then I had to, you know, the pressure of getting the kids up in the morning. It was just pressure after pressure after pressure. And it was just too much. Like,
Yeah.
and you know, the expectation of your boss and the expectation of your kids and your partner, and you know, you forget about who you are and what you need. And that's what I lost, I guess. I lost myself within all that expectation and pressure of what I need as a mother and a person as well.
That's a big
So
point to make, that we do as women lose ourselves
yeah,
to our, I guess, commitments.
yes, yep,
But
yep,
at the
I
same
would
time,
say that.
they're kind of not commitments. It's what we've said are commitments, but the truth is they probably aren't.
That's right.
So for you, at what point did you go, enough, things have to change? Obviously, you've had the accident, but you could have gone
Yep.
back into the old ways. So what was it about that accident
So,
that changed everything?
so the accident actually, so I had a disc sitting on top of a nerve, and it actually went down into my left leg. And it was that point of when I couldn't get out of bed, that I was like, keep doing this. It's just until I literally was on the train one day into the city, and I was like, I couldn't walk up the stairs at the city, at the train station, and I was limping, and I kept, like, my body kept feeling like I was just going to fall. And I was sitting in the office in this meeting, and I was like, I feel like I'm dying, like my body is that exhausted. And I was on my way home, and I was in tears, and I rang my mum, and I'm like, I can't do this anymore. And she's like, do what? I'm like, I just can't keep doing this. It's just exhausting. And she's like, I've been telling you for months you're going to burn out. And I'm like, well, I'm burnt out. And that point of admitting to her that I was exhausted and burnt out was like this aha moment of, I'm not okay.
Yeah. So the moment you verbalized it and expressed it, you were like, oh, actually, I see the truth now.
Yep. And then I was like violently vomiting when I got home, because I had suppressed it all for so long,
Yeah.
that it was almost like my body was going, oh, thank God it's out. You're finally saying, because I would say to people, I'm cool, I'm okay, don't worry about me, I'm fine, I can do this. But the truth was I wasn't okay, and I pretended that I was okay to keep everybody else happy, because I knew that if I said I wasn't okay, the rest of the family would fall, and that's what happened. Everyone else started to cave. You know, when I said I wasn't okay, everyone started to fall apart because I was the backbone for everybody.
Yeah. So you were
So
stuck in a cycle of overgiving.
yes, yeah, yeah. So then they had to learn, and I had to learn that I needed to give back to me, and I had to stop giving to them, which was a very hard thing for me and for them to learn. Which it took a good 12 months for them, for the cycle to change, because it would just be, can you do this for me? Can you do that for me? And I'd have to say no. And then that guilt and shame of not being, you know, the person on the 100,000 miles an hour treadmill, I was like, no, I can't.
And really that shame comes from society's pressure on us, because it's not really our shame and guilt. It's what others are saying we should be doing that we've adopted as our own.
Yep. Yep. So I carried a lot of that for a good year and a half, I think. After I came off work, I felt really ashamed within myself that I'd fallen, and that I sort of hated myself for not I don't know, betraying myself, if that makes sense, because I didn't listen to myself, and I was too busy people pleasing.
Yeah.
And so I had to do a lot of work internally on how to re-love myself, and not to be ashamed to fall, because everyone falls at some point.
Yeah.
And that's how the retreat came about, and the workshops and everything. Yeah.
Beautiful. So through this whole journey, where do you feel courage has been the most pivotal? It's a big question, I know.
Well, I guess it's the courage to get up every day and show up, I guess. There was days where I didn't want to get up. I didn't want to show the world the true me, if that made sense. But
yeah.
I guess having the courage to keep going and to feel those emotions, and to learn to let them go, doing that gave me the courage to write the retreat and to help women along the way. So I guess it gave me the courage to show people who I really was and stop pretending to be someone that I wasn't.
Wow. And what's happened with your family since you've placed these boundaries and said me first? Obviously that learning curve was steep for everybody.
Yeah.
Do you see your children reflecting some of that behaviour back at you now?
Yeah. They don't like it. So my partner and my family, my immediate family and my mother-in-law, they all thought at first they were like, what do you mean no? Yeah. And I'm like, no, I can't do it. And then it was, oh, you'll be right. And I'm like, well, I'm not all right. Why is it okay for you guys to be not okay, but I'm not allowed to be? Yeah. Like, I'm not okay. And then they would be like, my mum and my partner probably struggled the most, I think, with it, because those two were the ones that would rely on me the most to do everything, especially, and the kids, like I'd have to say no because I'd need to rest to the kids, and they'd be like, play with me, pick me up, and I'd have to say no. And so I felt quite ashamed and guilty within myself, that mum guilt, that I wasn't living to their expectations, but I just physically couldn't do it. So I had to learn to let go of that control and let go of that that deep guilt that I wasn't pleasing them, but I actually was doing something for me and for them, and to learn that they've learnt now that it's actually good for everybody to rest and to have downtime away from each other so that we can all recharge. So that's probably, that was a massive learning curve for them and for me. So
I've been on the exact same daughter with my journey as well. And I started saying to her, no, I need alone time right now. And yes, I went through the same thing, those massive explosions and tantrums.
Yeah. And they really do expect you to be there all the time. So I'm just going downstairs because my phone needs charging.
You're right.
So it's been a learning curve for them. And also for me, because I would always just do what everyone wanted me to do.
Yeah.
So for me to say that I was giving up my corporate job after 15 years and to say, no, I'm not doing that anymore was really hard for me. Like, I really struggled to say no to people.
Yeah.
So I had to, that courage, I had to build up that courage to tell my partner, like, I'm giving up my job. And he was like, what do you mean? And I'm like, well, I can't do this anymore. It's either I mother or I work, and I can't do both 100%. So I chose to come off work, and it was probably the best thing that I could have done.
Yeah. Just claiming back that power and admitting that the corporate world does not serve who you are as a person. It does not serve the way you need to live your life.
Yeah. So that was really hard, like resigning from that job and giving up you know, half of me.
Yeah.
Because that was me. Yeah, like I was 30 when I gave it up, and I started when I was 15. So
That's a
I
long
guess
time.
it is. Yeah. So I lost a lot. Like I had to find me again and rebuild me back up to who I wanted to be, because that was me for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I guess that I lost a part of me. So I went through a grief and loss process as well, because I gave up half of me.
Yeah. Half of what you
So
perceive
I
to
guess,
be you.
yeah. So I guess I want to teach women how to, who are lost within themselves, how to refine themselves and build themselves back up to who they truly are and who they want to be. And that's my mission, is to help vulnerable women who are lost within themselves, because that was me. I was that person.
Yeah. So what's life like now for you?
Wow. Yeah. So life right now is amazing. So I've got my retreat, which is postponed to February. I work on my own schedule. I have time for myself. I do a lot of, I wrote a women's program, and I'm doing these workshops with this photographer, which is helping women reclaim back their themselves and how to learn to love themselves through photography.
Beautiful.
So it's about being vulnerable, and life's very different now. Like my kids are a lot more grounded. I'm a lot more grounded. My partner and I are back to being us again, which has taken a long time to rebuild.
Yeah.
And it's really amazing at the moment. And I can't tell women enough that if your body's saying enough, slow down, that you need to listen, because I got to the point of being really burnt out.
Yeah. And it's not worth putting ourselves in that position in the first place.
No, it's not. And your kids need you, and you need you, and your partner needs you, and you can't be anything for anyone unless you are happy within yourself.
Yeah. Perfect. Now, before we get to the final question, which is a juicy one, how can people get in contact with you if they want to know more about your retreats and your programs?
So I have a Facebook page, and it's called the Holistic Wellness Retreat, Connect and Nourish Your Mind, Body and Soul.
Beautiful.
And my website's actually being up and revamped at the moment, but they can contact me via email as well, which is through essentialinnersoul@hotmail.com.
Awesome. And the final question, which is a biggie, what is courage to you? How do you define it?
So I define courage as being completely raw and honest with yourself, because the truth really hurts sometimes. And courage is about owning that truth, I think.
Yeah.
And really owning it and being accountable for it, and giving yourself the courage to be you without any judgment or any criticism. So showing up without judging yourself and criticizing yourself every day for what you're not doing, and having the courage to do what you really truly desire, and creating a life that you truly desire. So it's having that courage to step out of your comfort zone to be who you really are meant to be.
Beautiful. So courage is that act of facing yourself, being honest with yourself, and then stepping into who you are meant to be.
Yeah. It's like Brené Brown says, courage is stepping into that ring and, it's surrendering to it, not fighting against it.
That's perfect. Yeah. And that surrender is what's hard for most of us.
Yeah. And it is. It's about surrendering and embracing, all those thoughts and feelings of shame and guilt and of not being enough that we all have, and, actually retraining your thought process and your belief patterns to know that you are enough and worthy enough of the life that you desire, and that your past doesn't define who you are.
Oh, I like that one. That's a really good note to end on. Your past doesn't define who you are today.
No, it doesn't. No. Yeah, not at all.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for coming on the show. It's been a pleasure talking to you, and I know we're going to talk lots more soon. Do you feel you are destined to make an impact in this world, but are struggling to find the courage to share your story? Jump over to mellys.com.au for free training, presentations and videos, or simply stay tuned for the next episode of the Courage 1000 project.